Hello and welcome to another webcast. Here we are in January 2023, and we decided what we're going to do is we're going to have little segments on the FTC safeguard rules as it relates to financial services. And what we decided to do was to take a particular aspect this month of 314.4C, and we're going to see, well, how this might apply to your business. Will it give you some things to think about as it did us? So let's get into our presentation. So we know that there are 9 areas that we need to comply with as it relates to the technology and security aspect. But what we're going to do is focus on 3. Design and implement safeguards to control risk. And what we're going to do is kind of dissect some of this and give you some things to ponder over. So now let's get into the details. Here in part 314.4, and then we have subchapter C. It says design and implement safeguards to control the risk you identify through risk assessment. Now, we know that this risk assessment is really only required to those that have a certain number of customer records. But think about the safeguards, because now it says you need to do this either way. This isn't the piece that's removed if you're a certain size. It says that now you have to implement them and review these controls, which include technical and appropriate physical controls. But notice this, it says authenticate and permit access only to authorized users. Now these authorized users, they can be an employee, a contractor, an agent, a customer, or any other person who is authorized to access any of the data or the information systems. So now, imagine that you have a customer calling in. How do you authenticate that this person really is who they say they are? And then provide them access, whether it's verbally, giving it to them, or giving them access electronically. And the purpose, it says, is to protect against the unauthorized acquisition of customer information. Now, this is anything that is any of these records that are non-public, that's contained within your system. They can be within paper form, electronic. It's maintained by you and your staff, your company. It says that this is what you have to protect against the unauthorized acquisition of any of this information. So how do you authenticate? Customer calls in, and perhaps they're in this particular process, whether it's in their buying, then your sales process, and they need access to information. Maybe it's at the point where they're going to be transmitting it money. How do you verify? Maybe they said, there's going to be a change in our routing number. How do you make sure that you safeguard and cover yourself? Well, this is big, and this is happening because of social engineering. There's been many high-profile companies that were hacked through social engineering, bypassing the technology. There was Microsoft, there was Okta. And the thing about social engineering is it hacks the human. By perhaps a phone call or an email, they're able to appeal to the emotions. They're able to use persuasion to get someone inside to do something that they want. It comes down to a desired outcome. And many times it gives them access because they did not verify who the person really was. So how do you do that as a small business? Do you have a way to send a message to them? Perhaps that you already have on contact, their email address, their phone number, that they're calling, are you sure their phone number wasn't spoofed? There is a process that is used by our support desk, where when someone calls in and when they're passed on to the support desk, they are sent a code. Now the support technician has no idea what that code is. And so now they need to read it out, and then the technician will input the code and it will be validated whether or not it was correct or not. And that can be sent via email, that can be sent via SMS, text message. There are different ways in order to validate and verify who the person is. The question is, what process will you come up with to make sure that social engineering will not catch you as it caught many other companies, and then you're taken advantage of? And then you begin to look at some of these other areas. Now you have to limit what they have access to. Once you verify them, make sure you don't give them anything beyond what they actually need to do their job. So that's something to think about. What process, what access controls, whether technical, whether physical, what will you put in place to make sure that you can authenticate and permit access only to authorized users? So that gives you something to think about for this month. Stay tuned next month, because in order to the next session, because in order to only give them what they need, then you're going to have to identify all of the data, the devices, the personnel, and systems that they need to access, or that are used to access. So that's what we're going to be talking about next. So we know that the effective date was moved 6 months. You have till June 9, 2023. So here's some questions just to think about for this one. How will you authenticate? Permit access only to authorized users. Do you have a way of verifying their identity? If you need assistance with that, you want to talk about what is used internally, give us a call. And as you think about what we'll be talking about next time, how will you inventory your data, the hardware, the systems, and personnel? That's a task in itself. And so we'll get to consider with that some challenges with that in our next segment. And so we hope you enjoyed this little snippet. If you have any questions, give us a call. Our goal is, we're interested in building relationships, partnerships. And so if we can assist you in any way, whether it's just providing information, or if you need some solutions to help you to really implement this within your business, we'll be happy to help. Till then, see you at the next segment.